Hello everybody, and welcome back to this week's edition of Stay Fishy Adventures. Today, you saw it right in the thumbnail, we're living off the land and we're eating for 24 hours only what we can harvest, pick and dig with these bare hands right here. The wind is blowing, the rain is falling, and it is a beautiful day for survival. I want to thank you all so much for being here this week. We're gonna have an awesome adventure. Let's go do it. So our first meal target of the day is a little creature called a razor clam. And these things live in the sand, right on the edge of the surf out here on the Pacific Ocean. And we're gonna use these little clam guns that I have here in the back of the truck. Basically just a little PVC pipe fashioned into a gun. Got a little hole on there for suction. We stick it down on the sand once we find the clam. We pull the clam up, then we eat the little bastard. So this is meal number one, and this meal will actually help us catch our second meal of the day. Hopefully this all goes to plan, everybody, because we skipped breakfast. We're making this 24 hours, only eating what we catch, and it's time to go find some breakfast. So we're gonna grab our stuff, grab our net, grab our gun, grab our bucket. Let's go find some food. So basically what's happening here is you clam on outgoing tide. As that surf recedes off of the beach, these clams that live in the sand start to become exposed. And right as they become exposed, they create these little divots in the sand where they're actually pulling themselves further and further down into the sand away from that dry air that the surf and the tide is exposing. So we walk straight up into that surf right there. We're gonna walk around just doing circles and looking for the little divots that these things make by digging further and further down into the sand. So I can already tell we're probably gonna wanna work down the beach this way. You can see that glare is a lot better. Oh no! Depending on where my waders. Okay, so we'll wait for this to recede and we'll start hunting. Striking the ground. And the reason I'm doing that is to try to disturb the clam, make them basically try to dig down farther, which will show that divot. Oh, here's one right here. Oh, I got him. I hit him. That's alright though, we're still gonna eat him. Got him. Darn it. Well, here's another one right here. You can see this really obvious divot. Got that hole right where that thing is. See if I can get him. There he is. I got him. I got him. Our first meal of the day. That's a razor clam. Yes! First one of the day, a hog. That would feed an army. You can see this is their neck. This is actually what we're going to use for bait for our next target once we try to get our limit of clams. We're allowed 20 of these bad boys, so we won't really be going hungry today, but clam number one in the net. Yes. Oh, there he is. Got him. And number two. There's another one right here. We're right in the middle of them, everybody. We're into a hot clam bite. Here comes the tide. Live action. Live action. Oh, there he is. I got him. There he is. I got him. Yeah. And it's a trophy clam. Wow. Okay. We got three. We're gonna stay right here. There was a bunch of them showing as soon as that last wave came in. Days like today, it seems nice, but there's a big storm. There's a lot of surf coming in from all this really heavy waves coming off the beach. We're having to play these waves a little bit, let them come in, let them come out, and get the clams as soon as we can. So we got three. Three. We got three. We're doing good. There he is. Got him. We're on a roll. No time to waste. The surf's coming back. Oh, there he is. Lost one. Another giant. Woo! It's gonna be a feast. Here's one. got it. Oh, and another one. Yes, got it. Yes, nailed him. Oh, I got him by the boot. Got him by the boot. That's a good one. Another good one. Surf's out. There he is. Got it. I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll. Coming in hot. Yeah. Stacking them. Gotta clean your clam. Never forget to clean your clam. Well, we got our limited clams. Goal number 1 accomplished. Let's move on to species number 2. All right, we have relocated down the beach a little bit further to an area I think these surf perch are gonna be a little more prevalent. We got a lot of big rock structure. We got a little more structure for them out in the ocean. And hell, the sun's out. We're having a good day. I'm so happy we got a limited clams. These things are my favorite to eat. And I have kind of an idea, well, kind of a wild recipe that I'm gonna do here today, but we have a couple more things that we need to catch and pick to make this recipe happen. So without further ado, let's get our rods ready. Let's get out there in the surf and let's try to catch a surf perch, everybody. Woo! All right, here it goes. We're ready, everybody. We are set up. I got a double setup here, so I got 2 hooks on my main line here with a 3-way swivel. Then I got what they call a sand weight. This one's 3 ounces, so I can cast it a long ways. So what we're using for bait, I've clipped off the ends of a couple of the clams that we got to make them a little bit smaller so I can get extra pieces here. But this is gonna help us catch the fish. I'm gonna use these little sandworms here. These things emulate the same little creatures that live down in the sand. So I'm gonna go about half of a sandworm. Slide this up on my hook there. Just like so. Then I'm gonna hook a little piece of clam right to the end there. That makes a tasty little treat for these guys. Now let's go wade out in the surf, see if we can get us a surf perch. Hey, here it goes. That's me, dude. Sorry. Oh, I think we're good. We're good. Let me go heavier. So I'm having to switch up to a 4 ounce here. Immediately tangled with the guy next to me over here to the left. Luckily he was pretty friendly and didn't get mad at me, so we're looking up. Things are looking good. Nearly died. Nearly just died, everybody. Let it be known. Okay, well, I'm getting my butt kicked out there. Already got water down the wader once. I'm seeing this really nice rock structure that points out. Might get us out a little bit further into the surf. So let's try it. Let's go walk up on those rocks, out and into the water. Can't find one. Okay, make my way out on the rocks. Found this little tide pool here. Looks like this little area is filling up. I realize it's probably not smart to go on the rock. Oh, I found one now. There's a guy with a fish on right where we just left. I thought I'd try this little tide pool where these guys might be sneaking up into these tide pools and feeding. I did it! I got one! Yes! Finally! Finally! Here's a surf perch, everybody. This is what they look like. Beautiful little guy. Perfect. He's perfect. Gonna give him just a quick little bonk. Cut his gills. Yes! Well, so far, I must say, this has been the most difficult part. We do have one surf perch in our bag. That's all we need. We have plenty of clams to make a good meal. But this has been really cool, as you guys can see, standing on these rocks like this, casting out into the surf. It's difficult. I can tell that there's got to be easier days of fishing than this, mainly just out of the conditions. The water is splashing so hard. There's so much water pulling against my line that it kind of makes it difficult to feel a bite even, but ooh, this is going to be a big wave. This is a big one. Gotta brace myself. But anyways, definitely the hardest part of this challenge so far is getting these surf perch, which I knew. I've always been a horrible surf perch fisherman, so this was the most challenging thing coming in. I knew it was gonna be that way, but we got one. We got one and we still have time. So we only have one more thing that we want to harvest for the day. You guys are gonna have to stick around and find out what that is. I'm looking at all these mussels on the rocks, which are looking pretty darn appetizing. But we're gonna see. We'll see if we can get a couple more surf perch. We might not have to harvest more than we need to eat. But it's been a good day so far. I did it. I got a surf perch. I didn't think it was gonna happen. Let it be known, I suck at surf perch fishing. All these guys out here have been nailing them. I got my one though, and it's enough to eat. We got plenty of clams. It's time to go find one more thing for our dinner. And there it is! Easiest part of the day. The last ingredient. I got a little ahead of myself and cut it before we turned the camera on, everybody. But this is bullwhip. This is a kind of kelp, washes up on the beach. It's probably a little better eaten out of the ocean while it's still actually implanted in the ground. But this is gonna work. This is the last ingredient of our recipe and the base to our thumbnail. Oh, check it out. What do you guys think? We have found the most lovely spot for our boil. What a beautiful day on the ocean. Had some rain, had some wind, had some beautiful weather mixed in with it. But nonetheless, we pretty much accomplished every goal we came here to do. Now, with the last goal in mind, that's to make a good meal out of all of this bounty that we found today. So, found us a nice safe spot for a fire, stick ourselves a little fire pit, get our cook stove going. Okay, so first base of our stew that we're gonna make. We're basically doing a wild seafood stew. I did bring one seasoning for this because I wouldn't even go into the wilderness without this one seasoning, especially if it was on the coast. But we're gonna be using all natural ingredients for this recipe. So first off, we're gonna take our little tiny surf perch that we got here. We're just gonna gut this guy. We're gonna gut and gill him. So I'll take these front little fins off. And I will take the poor guy's little head off, just like so. All those guts will come right with it. Give it a little rinse. And what I've done with my clams is I've filled a cooler full of water, and I've put all my clams in there so that they'll start to purge. And you'll notice that they go right back to life. They start to poke those little necks out, and they start purging out all that sand and all that gross stuff that they have inside their body, basically that's in their guts. And normally you'd want to do it overnight, but we've only done it for a couple of hours. So I'm gonna let that purge. I'm gonna take my surf perch here. I'm gonna try to get some of these scales off. I'm just gonna run my blade against them like so, which will do the trick just fine. So I'm gonna scale this thing, and this is how I'm gonna make the stock for my stew. I'm actually just gonna throw this whole thing in there with a little bit of those seasonings, and then let that thing cook down until I can pull the bones right out, and then we'll have that fish, and we'll have all that tasty flavor from the fat and that meat inside my stock for the base of the stew. Take that spiny little backbone off there too, so I don't get any surprise spines as I'm going to take a couple of bites. And then once I have that, I should be able to just peel the skin right off. That's nice, that's nice. It's working, it's working. Oddly satisfying. Somewhat morbid, but tasty no less. Okay, just about ready. There it is. Our surf perch is ready for our stock. Okay, ingredient number 2 is going to be one of the razor clams. And I'm not going to make too much because I want to savor this stuff for after the 24 hours when I get to do some cool recipes, which you guys will have to be on the lookout for. This was the first razor clam tide of the year that we were allowed, and here on Stay Fishy I plan on doing some really cool things. I want to can and smoke these things, or vice versa. I want to smoke and can these. A really good friend of mine who is a tribal member of the Ho tribe on the Olympic Peninsula gave me some smoked canned razor clams the other day, and they were one of the best things I ever had. So that's what's going to happen with the rest of these, but you guys are going to have to tune into a video on a later date to see that. Another little announcement while we're getting ready and letting our fire get hot is that Brooke and I are headed to Alaska next week for an entire 10 days. And we're going to be doing a 4-day long alone in the woods in Alaska, in some of the most remote wilderness in Alaska, on our jet boat, camping for 10 days. So it's going to be amazing. You guys are going to want to follow along. We might miss a couple of Stay Fishies in the mix, so don't be mad, don't be alarmed. We're out filming better ones, and you guys be sure to tune into those ones once they come out. It's going to be awesome. So our fire's looking pretty good behind us. I'm going to stoke it, get our grate set over, and we're going to get these clams ready to throw in our stock. Got this awesome little cooking grate. Works great. I've never tried this way. Normally, when you open up your clams, you have to get, like, kind of scald them with some heat. Normally you use boiling water, you drop them in and they open up, and then it allows you to get into the guts there and basically clean the clam. But I think doing it over a fire will work the same way. He says, no, don't put the clam on there. What do you think of that thing? Yummy. But I think doing it over the fire will work the same way, so let's see. Yep, it's working. It's working. It's working. I'm gonna keep flipping it. It's working. It's working. So what we're looking for is you'll start to see the clam open up there. That shell will separate from the body a little bit, and then we'll be able to get in there and clean that thing. Almost there. We're almost there. Yep, there it goes. There it goes. It's working. It's working. It worked. Okay, get him off the heat. One more. There it goes, there it goes, there it goes. Yep, there it goes. Got it. She's open. We're good to go. Perfect. That's 2 open clams. And one thing about these razor clams is it's not just a clever name. These shells are extremely sharp, so be sure you dispose of them in a proper manner. And nonetheless, we got 2 clean clams. Let's get them on the cutting board. Okay. So because we've raised them over the fire like that, we should be able to separate them just like so. Gonna lay them down, peel them open. And this winged out meat right here is really what we want. This is the gills right here that you see. I'm gonna take those out. You can see how all the nasty stuff kind of just separates perfectly from the rest of the shell. And then we have the boot. And the boot is a very tasty part as well. So I'm gonna kind of pull some of that stuff out of there. I'm gonna get the guts. All those are the guts, those are the intestines there. You don't want to eat that stuff. That's no good. So there we have it. We have the neck, we have the boot. Scrape some of that stuff out of there, just like so. I'm going to take the neck, chop just the end of the neck off. Then I can run my knife right up and through, just like that. And there we have it. That's a beautiful amount of clam meat. A little rinse. Look at how wonderful that is. So much protein in that. Amazing flavor to boot. And it's gonna make an awesome, awesome stew. I'm getting hungry. Haven't eaten all day. Been waiting for this meal. And it's time. It's finally time. Okay, got my surf perch. Got my clams. The clams I'm gonna leave in pretty big chunks, but I am gonna chop them up. There, you got them nice meaty pieces. And the beauty of the surf perch is once that thing's done cooking, all that meat should fall off. We'll be able to grab that skeleton of that thing and pull it right out, and all of that meat will fall right off the bone, and there will be no bones in our soup. So we're pretty much there, everybody. We're almost ready to eat. Our last ingredient, it's going to take a little cleaning off because it is full of sand, is our bullwhip kelp. And this stuff is pretty dang cool. I never really knew you could eat it until I watched my man Taku's video, where he actually cut the stuff up and made some really cool stuff out of it. So normally you'd want to eat it fresh, it'd be a little more tender, but because I'm going to boil this, it should be okay. It kind of reminds me of a cucumber. They kind of taste the same way. It's a little bit salty, bit of a cucumbery type of flavor. Nonetheless, it goes very good in soup, and it tastes amazing, especially when it's fresh off of the kelp reef. So I'm going to cut up a good handful of that. It's going to be a good presentation too. I like it. It truly is amazing, the bounty of life that comes just right off the beach. We didn't leave a 1 mile square area today. We caught our surf perch in the same area we got our clams, and we found our seaweed and our kelp in the exact same places we did all the rest of our harvesting. So it's just cool to think that people have been living off this land for thousands of years. The Native Americans from this area, this was their main diet. This is mainly what they lived off of. Maybe some deer, maybe some elk meat as well, and of course the wonderful salmon that come back to these areas, but that's for a different time of year. But it's amazing, and it feels good to go out and have a day of harvesting and get to enjoy it right here out in Mother Nature in the place it came from. Thank you, Mother Nature. You're amazing. And thank you, fish and kelp and clam. Thank you. Okay, it's time. This whole meal came from nature. Now we're going to cook it with nature. So it needs a little bit of fresh water. Crazy little thing called love. Yeah, yeah. Crazy little thing called love. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's not a fire top stew unless you got some ash in it. Well, bare bones challenge or not, I ain't cooking without my Old Bay. So So I got the garlic and herb seasoning one for this time, one of my favorites. I add a pretty healthy amount of that because this is the only seasoning I'm going to be using, and it's going to kind of help add the flavor to everything we're putting in there. Okay, in goes our surf perch. So the beauty of doing the surf perch like that is you can see all the fat on the outside of that meat, all that dark colored meat. All that fat's going to be able to soak in to that flavor, that broth, all the meat that's coming off the bones, all the flavor inside the bones even, and basically everything that that fish has to offer is going to be brought out into that soup. So a little bit of Old Bay goes a long way. Okay, I think it's time for the rest of our ingredients. Oh yeah, falling right off the bone. Go ahead and just clean that off real quick. Look at that. Look at that. It's called being efficient. No pun intended. There we go. Yeah, there's all that meat. Good to go. Now, the rest of our ingredients. Probably gonna go only about half of that Bull Whip. Just tried it. It was absolutely delicious. A little crunchy. I would imagine, this is actually my first time eating this stuff, but I would imagine that when it's fresh, and you actually get it when it's out in the ocean, and I'm not sure the laws on harvesting out in the ocean, so be sure to check your local regulations, but I'm sure it's a lot more tender, not quite as crispy, but has a really nice like celery flavor almost, so it's going to make this dish taste wonderful. And then in goes our razor clams. All right, back on we go. Okay, soup check. It smells freaking amazing. I don't think this is going to be a bad meal, everybody. I don't think that the viewers out there want to see me do a survival challenge at the beach because it might not have enough drama in it. It's just going to be me chilling in the sand and eating good food. Beautiful piece of clam. Wow. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna give that just a little bit more. You don't want to overcook the clams, so get really chewy. The fish still, I don't think is completely cooked. Let's take it back out. And that Bull Whip, let's see what that kelp tastes like now that's hot. Literally tastes like a vegetable. It's like a mix between celery and potatoes, almost. Perfect. Perfect for a soup. Holy crap. This is quite the little seafood stew. The time has come, everybody. Come check this out, everyone. Yum. Ooh. Okay, time to try the fish. Little soft for my liking. Still, love the flavor. Very good. But it's a very, like, kind of mealy. Almost tastes like grits in a way. Not tastes like grits, but has that same consistency as grits. And you can almost see kind of how it just mushes up like that. Still a delicious white meat, no less. Let's see what it tastes like paired with a little bit of that Bull Whip. Oh yeah, there's a bite. Absolutely phenom. Phenom. If you're gonna use this Bull Whip, everybody, I recommend doing it nice and thin. What I definitely noticed already, especially as it's been old like this and sitting on the beach, but it's got a big crunch to it, so you don't want too big of pieces, but there's a smorgasbord bite right there. Ooh, definitely got to thank the creator for that meal. That's a delicious one. Well, that'll fill a guy's belly any day of the week. Only one thing left to do: crawl in the tent, wait till breakfast, and it's officially been 24 hours of us living off the land. Thanks so much for coming along on another adventure with us, everybody. Let's watch the sun go down. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is the next morning and we have made it back home to get the canning done and get the preserving of all these amazing clams that we got done. And it's been over the 24-hour mark. We didn't eat breakfast because I was saving myself for more seafood. Like Mom always said, you want to live 100 years, you got to eat a lot of seafood. So here's what we got going. We've cleaned all of our clams just like we showed you yesterday. We got them smoking a little bit. We got the canner set up. Done all the necessary steps. Got our cans ready to go. And we are canning clams, everybody. I can't wait to show you how these turn out. But for now, we got to eat some breakfast. And of course, we're eating clam. So all we're gonna do is gonna take some of the leftover clams that didn't fit in the smoker. Little, you don't want none. Just gonna take these bad boys. And there's some boots in here. There's some sandals, there's some cleats. And just kidding. Nonetheless, I'm gonna chop them up into little bite-sized pieces. Heat up my pan. Add a good hefty amount of butter. And in goes my clams. That's a breakfast clam right there. So for my seasoning, I'm gonna go a little bit of Wallowa sea sand, or sea salt, whatever. Wallowa river sand, rather. I absolutely love this stuff. Nice little garlic seasoning. A little bit of basil, sesame, and a little bit of pepper. It's the perfect blend for a tasty breakfast clam. Now on today's agenda, you guys, is to get ready and to get packed for Alaska. Obviously, we're canning some food. We're gonna be packing some of that food with us, but I have to go to the tackle store, I have to go to the addicted shop. I have a lot of running around to do before we leave for this trip on Friday. So again, if you guys didn't see or hear in the beginning of this video, I was talking about going to Alaska. We're doing a 4-day camping alone in the woods adventure, and then we'll be filming some addicted videos as well, so be on the lookout for that. It's gonna be a blast, but nevertheless, there's a lot of things to do. Ooh, that's sexy right there. Look at that, little flame up. No big deal, just a pro chef over here. But nonetheless, we have a lot to do, and it's gonna be a grind this week getting it all done, and still filming other videos before we get to that. So, be on the lookout, everybody. It's gonna be a fun adventure. Let's eat some breakfast clam. Okay, let's take our breakfast clam back outside. Ooh, these clams in here are looking great. Trying to keep the temperature really low, so I'm just kind of leaving the door open. I want those to get a lot of that good smoke flavor. And here we go. Oh, look how amazing these look. Beautiful. Tender. Juicy. Scrumptious. So one thing about when you're cooking clam in particular is you do not want to overcook it, because this is a protein that will get very, very chewy, almost like bubble gum. And you won't even be able to chew it all the way down. So just a quick 4 or 5 minutes on the heat. Or if you're making the soup like we did last night, only just a couple minutes of doing that. Or if you're putting them in a soup or something like you did last night, put them in last, let them cook for about 10 minutes or so, and they'll be perfectly tender and ready for your belly. Oh, that's good. That's a hell of a breakfast clam. Good living. Well, just want to say thank you all so much for joining us on this week's adventure. I had a blast. It's the beginning of a wonderful, wonderful time of year, and that is spring. We're gonna have a lot of cool videos coming out. Again, be on the lookout for this Alaska video coming out here in a couple weeks. And until next time, everybody, you all stay fishy. We'll see you out there.